So you've got a run-on sentence that is two sentences put together into one that shouldn't be. So we need to insert a punctuation and split them and make them into two sentences. And then a run-together sentence is similar. It's two sentences put together, and they connect them with a connecting word that should not be there. So, and so, then so, and so on. Okay, so if it sounds like two sentences put together, then it probably is. And you need to insert the correct punctuation. So today we're just going to talk a little bit more about that. So go ahead and open your language book to page 9. Page 9. And let me pick a popsicle stick, and I'm going to choose someone to read that green box at the top of the page. So Noah, nice and loud.
Remember, a run-together sentence is a poorly written sentence containing too many ideas joined by and so, or, and then.
Good. So read the example of the sentence I gave.
Mom ran out of sugar, and so she went to the grocery store.
Okay. So, okay, keep reading.
One way to correct a run-together sentence is to replace the connecting word with a comma and add a
Introductory.
introductory word to begin the sentence.
Okay. Go ahead and read those common introductory words.
Common introductory words. After, although, because, if, since, when, why.
Good. So, what we could do sometimes is, instead of dividing those up into two sentences, we can keep them together, but we can put a comma, but then at the beginning we add an introductory word. So when you introduce yourself to somebody, what are you doing? Jensen?
You're telling them your name and stating an introductory sentence.
Yeah, you're introducing yourself. You're telling who you are. You may be giving a greeting. Hello, I'm Mrs. Muller. I mean, it can be something as easy as that. You don't just go up to a new person and start talking, blah, 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 and they think, who is this? Why are they talking to me? You would say, hi, my name is Mrs. Muller, and my son is Micah, and you might tell about your family and maybe why you're even there. And then they'll say, oh, okay, now I know who that is. So the same with your sentence, you might need an introductory word to kind of explain what's going on. So, for instance, if we had that sentence, Mom ran out of sugar and so we went to the grocery store, we take out and so, put a comma, but then, excuse me, at the beginning we can write the word because. Because Mom ran out of sugar, comma, we went to the grocery store. Now, you can't start a sentence with because if you're just answering a question. Like if I say, why is recess your favorite subject? You can't say, because I like to play. That's not the correct way to use because at the beginning of a sentence. You have to use it as an introductory word. So you could say, because I like to run and play, comma, my favorite subject is recess. You could use it like that. So let's practice adding introductory words and putting commas, and then we're also going to practice our proofreading skills. So we didn't learn LC, did we? But LC means lowercase. So let's say we have a letter that is written as an uppercase, but it shouldn't be. So we need to turn it into a lowercase. Let me see here. Let's have Autumn. Will you read us the directions for Think A?
Correct each run together sentence by adding an introductory words. Use proofreader marks to mark lowercase, delete contracting words, and insert the comma.
All right, very good. So, lost my marker. Oh, here it is. So, for number 1, the sentence is sugar beets seeds are planted in large fields, and then they grow for several months. So, how should we fix that sentence? Now remember our proofreading marks, we have an insert mark, a delete mark, and then lowercase is the LC. Jensen?
First you would delete and then.
Okay. So we can do that first. So in the middle of your sentence where it says and then, draw a delete mark through it. Little piggy tail.
And then add a comma
Where?
before and then.
Oh, so you're right. Add a comma to replace those words, right?
And then
And the blank is actually where we're going to put our introductory word. For number 1, where the blanks are. So what introductory word could we put in the blank?
we could put
We have after, although, because, if, since, when, and while.
because.
Well, there might be one that works better than that, actually. Maybe Autumn, can you help him out? After. After kind of sounds like the best one, because you would say after sugar beet seeds are planted in large fields, comma, they grow for several months. So in the blank for number 1, write after. But then, Jensen, what do we have to do with the word sugar? Since after's our new first word, what do we need to do?
We would delete sugar.
Well, don't delete it, but what about the S in sugar? Should it still be capitalized?
Lowercase it.
Correct. So what we do is draw a line through your capital letter and then write LC, because that means lowercase. Question?
What is after the A and after?
F. A-F-T-E-R. All right, a volunteer to do number 2. Sugar beets are harvested and then they are washed and chopped. Marissa?
You take away and then
Okay.
you put a comma.
So let's use the correct word. Let's say delete.
Delete.
Okay. Delete and then,
You put a comma after harvested.
okay. And then what word should we put in our blank? I actually see 2 words we could use. Autumn, what do you think?
You could do after or when.
Right. So my book says when. I actually like the word after. After sugar beets are harvested, they are washed and chopped. So you can do either one. I'll just write when, because that's what's in my book. When, and then Marissa, what should we do with the word sugar?
Lowercase it.
Right. Cross out the S and write LC. Number 3, Jacob.
The chopped pieces are boiled, and so the water becomes sweet. Delete and so.
Mm-hmm.
And put a comma after boil.
Okay.
And because.
Yeah, I guess you could say because, or you could say,
Since. When.
I know, honey, I'm sorry. Since. Since the chopped pieces are boiled, the water becomes sweet. That's what my book says. So I think you could write either one, since or because. And then what do we do with the word the?
Lowercase.
Yes. Cross out your T and write LC for lowercase. Number 4, Autumn.
The syrup is heated and then crystals are formed. Delete and then put a comma after heated. Lowercase the.
And then what should we put in the blank? You could say after, or you could say because, or when, I guess. My book says because. Because the syrup is heated, crystals are formed. I mean, that's the reason why the crystals form, because the water's heated. So probably the best word would be because. And then number 5, Logan.
The liquid is removed and the white sugar crystals are left.
So what do we need to do?
Cross out and so.
Delete and so.
Put a comma.
Mm-hmm.
Cross out the T. Put out lowercase.
Actually, you know what? I've been doing the commas wrong because we should be inserting a comma. Sorry. Insert the comma. And then what would we put in the blank?
And wait, sorry. Since.
Okay.
When.
When would seems like that would make sense. You could say what?
Because.
No, probably not because that's not the reason. After. Or what did you say? I'm sorry. Okay. My book says after. After the liquid is removed, the white sugar crystals are left. So, does everybody have the correct answers in their book? Okay, write B. Correct each run together sentence correctly by using an introductory word and a comma. Tell you what, I will let you pick either 1 or 2. You can choose which one you want to do. 1 or 2. So go ahead and do either 1 or 2, and then we'll go over it on the board. Or if you want to really challenge yourself, you can do both. You're doing just like what we did up at the Think A, except you're writing the sentence out. Logan?
So when we write the sentence out, we fix the correct.
Yeah, you don't write the marks, you just write it correctly.
Was there nothing wrong with the sentence? There's nothing wrong with the sentence.
Well, you need, it's a run together sentence, so you need to fix it. The air became very foggy and then the planes could not take off. So we talked about deleting words, adding commas, adding an introductory word, and then you need to lowercase the letter. Who did number 1 and wants to tell us what they wrote?
I don't write.
That's okay, just keep working on it. Or do you need a little bit more time? Are you finished? Okay, Marissa, what did you write?
The air became very foggy, comma, the planes could not take off.
Okay, but what's your introductory word? When? How about when? So you needed to add this. In order to take the words out in the middle, you need to add introductory. When the air became foggy, became very foggy, comma, the planes could not take off. And then who did number 2 and wants to read it? Jacob, what'd you write?
I have a question for number 1.
Okay.
Can we put since the air became foggy?
Probably a better, I think that's not quite the proper use of since. Since is more of like a time word. But, I think if you said when, well, I guess when's a time word too. Or because the air became very foggy, the planes could not take off. Number 2, who wants to read what they wrote for number 2? Okay, go ahead.
We have a nosebleed out of the playground of kindergarten. Could somebody come out?
What?
Don't worry about it. Okay, Jacob, go ahead.
Although we had to wait a long time, we called one of my friends.
Okay, so you could say although,
While
could say because we had to wait a long time, we called my grandparents. Okay, so the sentences go together. The air was foggy, so the planes couldn't take off. And then because the planes couldn't take off, they had to wait a long time, so they called their grandparents. I guess to tell them they were going to be late. Because we had to wait a long time. Comma, we called my grandparents. remember C. This is review. Write S if the group of words is a sentence, write F if the group of words is a fragment, and write RO if the group of words is a run-on. So, Mason, read number 1 and tell us what we should put in the blank.
Can you imagine reading the paper by hand? Sentence?
Yes, number 1 is a sentence. What kind of sentence is it?
Question mark?
So, what's the name of that kind of a sentence?
Interrogative.
Very good, interrogative. Number 2, Autumn.
The vacuum cleaner uses
Suction.
and the dirt is pulled into the vacuum. Run on.
Yes, that's a run-on sentence. So you could change it the way that we fix the sentence today and add an introductory word. Because a vacuum cleaner uses suction, comma, the dirt is pulled into the vacuum. And then number 3, Lucy.
Using the vacuum cleaner to clean my bedroom carpet.
Fragment. Now you can always add on to the fragment, make it a sentence. But in that case, it's a fragment. So since you have your language folder out already, get out your journal, and I want to write down our introductory words that we talked about today. So turn to the next page in your journal. And you can even do bubble letters if you want. Or you can just write it or whatever. And for time's sake, I'm just going to write intro, period. If you want to write the whole word, you would do intro. Words. Okay. So, introductory words are what? What do we What were some of the introductory words?
After.
Okay, after. And then we have although. Because. If, since, when, and while. And we only used a couple of those today, but, so, can everybody see that? You can do little bullets next to it or something if you want. These are called bullets when you have little dots next to them, or little stars, or whatever. Be creative. It's a good, I like to, if I'm memorizing something, I like to make it into a picture, and it helps me remember it better. Or even color coordinate. I even highlight my lesson plans. Now these aren't very colorful because I'm still figuring out what's what, but the yellow, the things I highlight for yellow are your specials, and the green are for when a student needs to go to a different area and do some other things, discovery or whatever. And then sometimes I'm gonna highlight pink for all your tests, so that way when I look at it, I see, oh, okay, lots of colors. I know that color means that, and that color means that. And I just use lots of different colors.